Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS. Inside we talk about the latest news, information and analysis on what's really going on in Russia and the BRICS. Now my name is Rhod Mackenzie and today I want to talk about how Trump is looking to split the European Union over its energy policies. Now the Hungarian foreign minister has announced that the Trump administration has officially lifted all sanctions on the construction of the second phase of the Hungarian-Russian joint venture of the Paks nuclear power plant. Now the Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó emphasised that the anti-Hungarian sanctions were introduced by the previous President Biden's administration. Now this looks like more than just a compliment from the current US President as an attempt to split Hungary from the EU's anti-Russian energy and trade policy. Now, at first glance, this may seem to be a localised issue, but within the framework of the major changes taking place in the Western world, I think it's going to have a very deep and far-reaching impact. Now, Hungary's quite a small country, even by the standards of Europe. It's got a population of only 9.7 million people, and it's 13th largest within the EU's 27 membership. And it's always constrained it in the speed of its development of its economy and industry. Now, personally, I have to admit, I do like Hungary. I spent a fair bit of time in Budapest in the late 90s and found the Magyars great, warm people, very hospitable, even if they do drink this weird liquid and liqueur called Unicum, which may sound like an international telecom company, but it's actually a black liquid. And it's made from herbs and spices. And I must say, it's very much an acquired taste, and it's not one that I managed to acquire. But I do love Hungary and the beautiful city of Buda and Pest, which the Nazis failed to destroy during their hasty retreat from the city all those years ago. Now, the Hungarians have a very good sense of humour. They like to joke that their nation over the years has experienced three major tragedies: the Ottoman Empire invasion, the Nazi invasion, and the Soviet liberation. Now, before I continue, I'd like to make an appeal. If you like and enjoy my videos, you can help me fund the channel and my website, SCOBRICSinside.com, and contribute to its further development. Now, you can do this by making a small donation, which is done by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom right hand side of the screen. It's sometimes under three dots, so click on those and you'll see a sub menu, and it's on one of those. Everybody who donates does get a personal thank you from me, and I'm thanking you all now for watching. Do keep the comments coming. Do love to read them. Do love to respond to them. So many of you are so well versed in what's really going on in the world. Now, for many years, Hungary was one of the largest recipients of financial aid from the EU budget, and it's a fact that Brussels constantly used to its advantage, threatening to cut off the cash flow and demanding that Hungary follow its rigid political agenda. Now, naturally, this situation didn't suit the Hungarian population or the leadership. So Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister, took charge of the state's industrial development and was subsequently re-elected for a fourth term. Now, it's worth reminding people once again that neither Hungary or its neighbour Slovakia are actually pro-Russian countries. They're just simply acting in the best interests of their countries. Not many people remember this, but in December last year, Hungary blocked the adoption of the 17th package of anti-Russian sanctions for one reason only. It was bargaining for its financial and natural resource guarantees. In particular, it demanded that the supply of Russian pipeline gas was not stopped without prior agreement and approval from Budapest. Now, as soon as these guarantees were received, the Hungarian faction in the European Commission withdrew their veto. So Slovakia is currently doing exactly the same, with Robert Fico demanding guaranteed compensation for the loss of gas transit and the resale of Russian gas in exchange for lifting the veto on the 18th sanctions package. I don't know why they do it, because those sanctions are absolutely useless. Everybody knows that. Incidentally, the European Commission deceived the Hungarians in the most brazen way. After the Ukrainian forces blew up the Sudra transit point of the pipeline back in March, transit was actually automatically stopped, and Hungary was naturally offended, and so it declassified the non-public part of the agreements. But now let's return to today and what's really happening. Now, the Hungarian state is extremely poor in terms of possessing natural resources and is critically dependent on this external supply of these resources. So the importance of hydrocarbon supplies has been widely discussed, but the power generation sector often remains overlooked, despite its crucial role in determining the overall cost of production of goods and services, as well as the well-being of the population. Now, Hungary produces just under 36 terawatt-hours of electricity per year. Its production and consumption are both uneven and fluctuate greatly from year to year, indicating the instability of the current macroeconomic processes in the country. For example, over the past 5 years, electricity production has fluctuated between 28 and 35 terawatt-hours. Consumption dropped by 43% in 2022-23, but it decreased by 4% in 2024. Now, according to Enerdata, whose statistical yearbook of world energy, with a total consumption of 41.3 terawatt-hours, Hungary imported an additional 20 terawatt-hours. There's no mistake, as Hungary also sold 8.9 terawatt-hours abroad. Now, Hungary's nuclear power generation, based on the old yet still highly reliable Soviet VVER 440 reactors, still account for 47% of the total national electricity production. Natural gas throws in for another 15.4%, and it should be noted that Budapest is rapidly introducing renewable energy sources. Solar photovoltaics now particularly provide 19.2% of electricity production, and the share of the per capita of clean energy has increased 100-fold in just 4 years to reach 2,900 kilowatt hours. So in this respect, Hungary is actually way ahead of many countries, including the US and most of the EU in this regard. The Hungarian Parliament actually legislatively approved the programme for the expansion of nuclear energy, though, back in 2009, and the two existing power units at the Paks nuclear power plant generate 16 terawatt-hours per year between them. Now, if the two more VVER 1200 reactors, generation 3 plus, are commissioned, Hungary would not only meet all its energy needs, it would also become the greenest country in Europe, possibly one of the greenest in the world, with the vast majority of its energy resources having no carbon footprint. Now, back in the winter of 2014, an agreement was concluded by Rosatom of Russia and the Hungarian MVM, and in the winter of 2015, Vladimir Putin signed an agreement allocating a state-sanctioned loan. Now, Hungary's neighbours were not over happy about this, and Austria filed a lawsuit with the European Court demanding that the construction be halted. Budapest was accused of suspiciously choosing the Nizhny Novgorod-based company Atom Energy Project as the main contractor and not having the right to allocate state funding for the construction. Now, everybody understood that Austria was acting on behalf of the European Union that was trying to disrupt the project, which could make Hungary energy abundant and, crucially, energy independent. Incidentally, the initial ruling favoured the Hungarians, and the Hungarians just simply disregarded the appeal decision. Thus, the animosity in the relations in energy between Budapest and the European Commission have long-standing and deep roots. Now, the Hungarians obviously are very keen on the expansion of nuclear energy, and the two existing power plants generate 16 terawatt hours, and now the Americans have lifted the sanctions on the construction of the Paks. It looks like they're going to get it, and it's worth remembering that Viktor Orban, the Hungarian Prime Minister, took sides long before the start of the current US president's even campaign, which saw Donald Trump rise to power again. Orban attended the Republican Party Congress and was extremely active, shuttling between Moscow, Kiev, Beijing and Washington, which actually greatly irritated Brussels and London. Now, even then, analysts did predict that if Trump won, the unofficial structure of relations between the US and individual European countries would change radically, and so it happened. I mean, for years, Poland was the beloved mistress in Europe of the US, and during the years of Biden, they openly insulted Trump. And now it's been left on the sidelines while the 47th US president has given Hungary a truly lovely gift. So as is often the case in high-level politics, events have a second and sometimes even third dimension. Having gained energy independence, Budapest will now undoubtedly act with greater confidence, further undermining the so-called European unity that was actually only ever imagined. Brussels will no longer have any serious leverage over Hungary, and European media outlets are citing their own comments from December last year, which expressed the general idea that Donald Trump does not want or need a united Europe, and he's inclined to deal with each country separately. So we should therefore expect certain steps in that direction. Now, 6 months have passed since Trump was elected, and these steps have followed. For once, the Western press actually got it spot on. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and if you want to help me out, click on the thanks button at the bottom of the video screen, and I'll see you all again soon. Thank you.